Well, Happy New Year, everybody. We managed to get through the holidays, and we finally got a chance to see Avatar: The Way of Water.
Yes, The Way of Water, and yes, it's been seven days as of this recording since New Year's.
Yes, it has. And in the time span of this movie coming out into the new year, it has made over 1.5 billion worldwide at the box office.
Yeah, which is definitely a lot of money. It's trying to break its own record too.
Yeah, but we'll get into that once we sort of discuss this. But before we get into Avatar, I think we should talk about the first Avatar, like what you thought of it.
When I first saw it in theaters, and then I saw it again like a couple of years ago, a year or two ago, with my dad, because he never saw it just never saw it. Then I showed him the movie, but going back to my first time around seeing it back when it was released in 2009, that was a really good film.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those movies, like, the first time you see it, you're just blown away by how amazing it looks with its technical aspects, because it's James Cameron. He's known for pushing the boundaries of visual effects.
Yeah.
And to this day, the movie still looks impressive. It definitely deserved that Best Visual Effects win back in 2010.
Yeah.
And, I mean, back then, the movie kind of has this, like, there's people who like it, there's people who don't like it, and the people who don't like it say that, well, it's beautiful, it's an extremely derivative movie of other things that you have seen before. Yeah. The three things that come to mind, and many people said this in their other reviews, were Dances with Wolves, Fern Gully, and Pocahontas. And Pocahontas is the one I'm the most familiar with, although I have seen reviews of Fern Gully, and I can see the similarities between the two.
Well, because the movie is focused a lot more on the nature aspect of it and how the people, or at least the natives there, are connected to the nature of the world.
Yeah,
basically.
They're connected to the environment, whereas the Earth people, they are not. They're more industrialized.
Yeah, and in the second movie they kind of pitch in more about in the beginning too of the second film, but we can get into that a little bit right after just kind of talking about this first movie here.
Yeah, and the thing is about the first Avatar, I mean, I still like the movie. I enjoy it quite a lot. I'm not bored with it because I was one of those kids back in the day that when I saw it, I watched it a lot because I was just blown away by how great it looked. And the story did keep me invested, even though I knew at the time it was in every conceivable way similar to things that I had already seen before. And even James Cameron admitted that when making Avatar, he read almost every science fiction book, every single adventure book he grew up with, especially the work of Edgar Rice Burroughs, who did the Tarzan series. Yeah. And you can kind of see that. I wouldn't say you'd see any Tarzan in Avatar, but you see the adventure influence in there. And I will also admit the first Avatar is, in every conceivable way, an unsubtle allegory for the relations that we had, the Americans had with, the indigenous people back in, those colonial days and stuff.
Yeah, speaking of Tarzan, actually, now I'm thinking about it, there actually was, there was a few scenes in this new one that has, you could say Tarzan vibes, actually. This new one, I don't know, maybe because I know you've seen it your second time around, but me seeing the first time around, and you mentioned it, Tarzan, I kind of thought there is a particular character in mind, and he did this too a little bit, that it is Tarzanian, kind of vibe to it.
Yeah, I mean, actually, now that you might want to tell me about this, but actually in the first movie, there's an extended cut, and I have seen it, where they have new footage of Pandorian wildlife tying up a few loose threads that were in the theatrical cut. Yeah. There's one scene in particular where we see a proper death for Sute in the first movie. It's very similar to how the scene in Tarzan when Kerchak dies and he gives his respects to Tarzan before passing away. It's in the extended cut. Yeah. It felt similar to that. And then you'll have to point out what's coming. But yeah, I mean, and the other thing too about the first Avatar is that in the time span between its release and this sequel, I will admit that it did lose a lot of the hype surrounding it,
Oh, for the second time?
Well, the big time gap between the first one and the second one, it lost a lot of lasting influence and hype that people could really get invested in. Yeah. And some people were worried that this sequel was going to flop because of that. It hasn't.
Yeah.
And James Cameron himself has actually defended that because, some sequels, there's a big time gap, but they can still be successful. It just depends on the nature of the film.
Yeah.
But it's intriguing to me that Cameron, finally got this out and he's doing it now.
Yeah.
Because in many ways, and this might sound a little crazy, we haven't quite found the next big sci-fi epic,
Yeah, it has been a while since a brand new original sci-fi epic.
Yeah,
not like a returning one, like Star Wars, which was a return one.
Yeah,
or
Star
a couple
Wars
times with Star Trek. We haven't seen one a return yet at Battlestar Galactica.
I have yet to watch the original Battlestar Galactica, but is it any good?
It is. I've seen some episodes, in the past, and they are pretty. It's a decent, solid, series basically, because it does kind of like take place in terms of a timeline of the last human civilization trying to find a new Earth, basically, per se.
Yeah, I saw little snippets of like advertisement. They talk about that. The special effects look extremely reminiscent of Star Wars.
It is. It's very close to Star Wars. It's kind of like a mixture of like Star Wars and Star Trek, you could say, per se. Although the droids, the robots, like the enemy robots in Battlestar Galactica, are a lot more menacing looking and a lot more tougher to take down.
So they're like Terminators. They're very menacing and very difficult to kill.
I would say a buff up super battle droid.
Right up there with the super battle droids.
A very buff up super battle droids looking type of things, yeah.
I see. I definitely want to watch it at some point. And I mean, in terms of sci-fi epics, we also have Dune, which did get a new adaptation a couple years ago. The second part comes out later this year. Although Dune doesn't really have the same kind of like attention that Star Wars or Avatar gets. Because Star Wars and Avatar are more mainstream. Dune is kind of not very mainstream, but it does have its fans.
It does have its fan, yeah. Although Dune is like a very, you could say one of those like very unique stories or like its own little, you could say like cult franchise, like
cult following.
Cult following, yes. Where it's like, it's there, but you have to kind of like dive into it and start investing yourself into it, basically, order to like kind of like hear about it and hear a lot more and do other things. Otherwise, if you don't hear about it from like select a group of people who have heard of it, and most of the time if you have heard of it, you're probably a really big fan most of the time. But other times if you just hear it, if you're a cult following, you're basically a big fan about it. And anybody who mentions like Dune, most of the time they probably just think it's a new film or something like that, or just like a new one.
They probably don't know about the massive book series.
Massive book series, just because it's kind of like hidden, basically.
I think another sci-fi franchise that's kind of hidden, but it does have a cult following, is Stargate.
Oh, yeah, Stargate.
You got the movie, you got SG-1, you got Atlantis, you got Universe. And then there's an animated series which many Stargate fans hate, and they say it's not very good. It's Stargate Infinity, which I actually saw a little bit of that when I was a kid, and that's actually how I got introduced to Stargate.
Yeah, I think I've never... One of the Stargate. I think it's the first one with the pyramids or something like that in the desert. Or am I thinking of...
The first movie is where it's the pyramids in the desert.
Yeah.
Like, what if the aliens came to Earth?
Yep.
And they essentially built our great achievements or helped us with that.
Yep, I think that was the first one I saw. I didn't see any others, but I think that was the first and only one I've seen, yeah.
And I do know throughout the years we've had sci-fi things that tried to go epic or tried to jumpstart an epic series but ultimately failed.
Yeah.
Or they kind of didn't quite get where they wanted to be.
Yeah.
There's a few I can think of, like Independence Day, for instance.
Oh,
Big gap between the first one and the second one. The second one was not as good as the first one.
Yeah.
And Roland Emmerich said he kind of wanted to do something epic had he made a third film. And you can kind of see the setup he was doing in the second one, but it just wasn't good enough to justify a third one.
Yeah.
And the other one I can kind of think of, it went epic by the second film, but by the third film, they're like, okay, we kind of need to dial that back down and go small. It was the Riddick series, if you've ever seen the Riddick movies with Vin Diesel.
The Riddick. I think I might have heard of it, but I'm not too sure.
There's Pitch Black, Chronicles of Riddick, and then just Riddick.
Oh, I think. Oh, okay, now I'm starting to get the picture a little bit more of it. That's the one where it's like I think pitch black. That's the one where it's all like that. The swarms like that when it's like
the bat alien things.
well, it's like the swarm of bat. Yeah, those bat aliens where it's like if it's dark time and if you happen to be caught out there, you just get eaten alive by the swarm.
And they only come out at night.
Yep, which actually very reminds me because I'm thinking. Because when was that Pitch Black film made?
2000, came out in 2000.
Okay. There is this game series called Gears of War.
Gears of War?
Yeah. There are these, kind of like these locust creatures. I'm pretty sure this came around a little bit later, but...
Gears of War was like during the Xbox 360 around
Yep.
06, 07.
Yeah. Yes. Well, Gears of War 1 or something like that, yeah. But going back to the first one, there are these... kind of like creature, I think these creatures were influenced by the Pitch Black creatures, where these kind of like swarm bats things from the locust, they come out at night, and if you happen to be not in the light, they will swarm down and eat you.
That's intriguing. Did Gears of War actually did that, or was it a different series again?
Gears of War, they never, they've only did that once, but it was for a specific type of enemy. Yeah, it was 4 actually. You could almost kind of use it as a weapon / shield per se.
Interesting. But anyway, yeah, the second Riddick film is where they tried to go epic and big, and people kind of had mixed to negative reactions about it, which is why when the third Riddick film came around, they toned down the epic nature and they just went back to the basic roots.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, we're kind of getting off topic here, but...
No, I think I might have saw the second, because I think the second one, I think may have been after Pitch Black, because he started having some flashbacks to that woman or something like that.
Yeah, the woman he rescued on that planet with the other people, but then he has to go up against the threat of the necromongers.
Yeah.
And there's one part in Chronicles of Riddick that feels reminiscent of Star Wars. Like, there's a battle between the necromongers and the armies on the planet that Riddick's on. Forget what it is. I'd have to watch it again.
Yep.
It's like Helion Prime or something.
Yep.
I don't know. But I think the point I'm just trying to make here is that with Avatar, because there are sequels in the works, we might get this as a big new sci-fi epic.
Yeah.
And there's been many over the years, but it's like we haven't quite moved on from the ones we grew up knowing.
Yeah.
Or at least the ones that are in our consciousness.
Yeah.
And we're just kind of expecting something new.
Yeah.
And so... going on to our reactions with Avatar 2, what did you ultimately think of this?
I thought it was still really good. Just kind of like very similar to the first time, seeing the first film of it. The second film was very still awe-inspiring visuals and great acting too. Some really good acting from James Cameron and
James Cameron doesn't act in this. It's Sam Worthington,
Sam Worthington,
Zoe Saldana, who's Neytiri, and then you got Kate Winslet in this.
Yep, and the kids too, and you also got returning, the villain actually, or the...
Oh yeah, Stephen Lang.
Yeah.
And he's actually kind of had an interesting career outside of Avatar.
Yeah.
Like he was in the Don't Breathe movies.
Oh yeah.
Where he was that blind man.
Oh, the blind man, the killer blind man, yeah.
Yeah, and then he was in some TV stuff, like Terra Nova.
Yeah.
And then... Zoe Saldana, I think I'm saying her name right, when she's Neytiri, she's had a pretty healthy career outside of Avatar. You got Gamora, you got all the other action stuff she was in.
Yeah.
But Sam Worthington, of all people, like, they advertised him as the next big thing back in the day when Avatar came out. And I know he was in the Clash of the Titans remake series.
Yeah, the Clash of the Titans, I think I remember seeing, like, some of the films, like the remake of that film or something like that. It was hyped up, but I don't think it did really well.
The remakes weren't exactly well received.
Yeah.
The second one I felt was pretty bad.
Yeah.
But for me, I think this film was on the same level as the first Avatar, where it's beautiful visuals, breathtaking visuals, but I didn't think the story was groundbreaking enough, so to speak.
Did you feel like it was similar to the first film in terms of story, or?
Well, when I saw this the first time, I was questioning if this was a sequel, but also a remake of Avatar, because there were several scenes that felt similar to the first Avatar.
Yeah.
Where they're learning the ways of the reef people, kind of like how Jake has to learn the way of the Omatakai.
which is now known as the forest creatures.
Yes, and then you have basically the villain trying to tame one of the Ikrans.
Yep. Which also, those flying creatures, which kind of brings me back to my Tarzan kind of like connection right there. You know how Spider, because he's basically kind of like, you could say, the Tarzan, basically, because he's still human, but he acts very native and stuff like that.
Oh, now it makes sense to me.
And you see how, like, the very similar braids and stuff like that, how he's kind of like,
Yeah, and he's like, he doesn't wear much clothes, he's got the body paint on.
Yeah, body paint on.
Tarzan didn't have body paint.
No, he doesn't, but he still had, like, the same kind of, like, basically, doesn't have clothes on except for, right here, the little, in the waist area, which Tarzan does. He has braided hairs to match, the native tribes and stuff like that. Tarzan also had.
Yeah, and then he acts like how the Na'vi act, kind of like how Tarzan acts like the apes.
Yep.
Now I see what you're getting at. I have no idea why I did not pick up on that the first time.
Yeah, and of course when they were trying to learn the ways of the Na'vi, he kind of like chuckles and laughs a little bit, like, "Oh, you don't know? Yeah, that's not how you do it."
Yeah, but I think really with this movie, it's like there's things that felt familiar, like James Cameron was treading ground that he already did.
Yeah.
There's new things that he does in this movie, and there's plenty of good things in this movie to talk about, actually. Which brings me to the visuals, because I really want to talk about these. Now, this movie has a lot of fantastic visuals, really breathtaking computer graphics, and just beautiful environments to look at, which is exactly how it was in the first movie.
Yeah, and especially too when they got to the waters, too, basically, as well.
Oh, yes, the water environments. Now, I've been to my fair share of aquariums. Have you, by any chance?
I have been to more than a few aquariums, yep.
Like SeaWorld?
Yes, SeaWorld, either in Florida or California and stuff like that.
I saw the one in San Diego a long time ago. It was amazing when I went. What were the others that you saw?
I think there was like the one, what was that? I want to say like Orlando or something like that. I know there was like a sea aquarium like in Florida area. I want to say Orlando. But I've been to the SeaWorld in San Diego. That was a nice area. I think I've also been aquarium-wise. I think Minnesota also has their own.
Yeah, the Minnesota Zoo, they have their aquarium area, which is really well done.
Yeah.
And I know I've been to the Shed Aquarium in Chicago, which was extremely well done.
Yeah.
Very well done from when I went. I've been to one in Atlanta. Atlanta, because they have whale sharks in that aquarium. 4 of them, I think. It's really fantastic.
Yeah. I've also done, I think I remember one time in one of my 6 trips in Mexico, we did like a dolphin, like lessons or something like that.
Dolphin encounter?
Dolphin encounter, yeah.
They kind of had that at SeaWorld in San Diego, but I did not get to have first-hand experience with the dolphin.
Yeah, I know. They kind of like, in Mexico, they kind of like, a while back when I was like a kid, they kind of like, you're on your swimsuit and you kind of like swim with the dolphins actually too. So you're kind of like in the water with them.
Yes. That's the feeling I got from these water scenes, is that it almost like feels like you're in an aquarium that's emulating the ocean, or there are times where you feel like you're in the ocean.
Yeah.
And there are very few movies that can do this very well.
Yeah.
Like Finding Nemo, for instance.
Oh,
Finding Nemo, like, it makes you feel like you're in the ocean, you're on this big, grand adventure.
Yep.
And there's a lot of fantastic imagery in that movie.
Yep.
Same thing here, because like a lot of the creatures that we see in the water, it's a lot of life that's similar to what we see on Earth, but there's something unique about it, and it's so beautiful. You just can't stop and look away. You just want to see what you want to see. And then you see the plesiosaur-like creatures with the long necks and the flippers.
Oh, yeah.
Those were impressive.
Then you kind of have like their own shark and whales type of creatures as well, especially the biggest one being kind of like more whale-like.
The Tolkiens.
Yeah, the Tolkiens.
Yeah, those were some like fantastic creatures to see in this movie. It's almost like James Cameron, he went out to watch whales, like maybe humpback whales out in Hawaii or somewhere else, And he's like, okay, I want this in my movie, but I need it to be where, yes, they're like whales, but they're still impressive to look at.
Yeah, which they also have kind of like that hammerhead looking, kind of like armor.
They have this like hammerhead look,
which
is no whale on Earth has that except for sharks.
Yeah, but it's like still as big, and they don't really have teeth, which they're kind of like the big giant what are those, like blue whales or something like that, where they just
Like
kind of
the giant blue whales?
yeah, giant blue whales, where they kind of like open their mouths and they use it to gather like a lot of their food and stuff.
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
all the krill. There's a
Yeah.
scene where you actually see one of these things eat fish, and it's almost like you can hear the krill go, "Swim away!" And then Dory's like, "Oh look, krill!"
Yeah.
And then Marlin's like, "Dory!" Ah!
Yeah, that scene, yeah, per se.
One could splice that audio in there as a joke if they wanted to.
Well, maybe for that one scene with where the kid went inside the whale.
Oh yeah, maybe. But yeah, these whale creatures were just like fantastic. They were great emulations of the humpback whales we have on Earth.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say they were blue whales. They're not big enough to be like that gargantuan.
But yeah, like you said, humpback whales. Yeah, probably for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting you also brought up the shark creature.
Yeah.
Because yeah, it moves and hunts like a shark, but it didn't really look like a shark to me.
No, but he kind of felt like a shark just because he sought out blood basically until it went too far away. Then he turned back around like sharp real quickly to go after the other one.
Yeah, and the thing is with its design and size, it looks like a Dunkleosteus, which is not a shark. It's a placoderm fish from the Devonian period. It's like James Cameron saw like a computer-generated image of that from one of the Walking With specials, and he's like, okay, I want to do that, but make it more shark-like a bit, and just have it be this giant predator.
Yeah.
That was a very tense scene, though, where he's getting hunted by it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the Tolkien rams into it, and you whispered to me in the theater, there's always a bigger fish.
Oh, yep.
Only in this case, it's more mammal-like, not really fish-like, the Tolkien's.
Yep. No, but it still kind of applies that same thing, because again, one's hunting down, all of a sudden just rams, a bigger one rams into another one or attacks another one.
Yeah.
Which is, again, it's always a bigger fish.
And the other great thing about the underwater sequences, when the characters are all swimming around, is that a lot of the actors had to learn free diving and hold their breath, because one of the things James Cameron wanted to accomplish with this was he wanted to shoot scenes underwater, but he wanted basically actual underwater, in mocap suits. Yeah. And I would say he succeeded.
Yeah, because the underwater scene, it was, it was, again, like breathtaking just to see and all that stuff. And also, too, kind of like the realism a little bit of the fact that, there are the people, the sea people who are just so used to it, and their tails are more, kind of like fins per se.
Yeah, I saw the fins on their hands and stuff, which that kind of reminded me of the creature from the Black Lagoon or gill people.
Yeah.
But at least, they put enough effort into the reef people, the Metkani or however you say their name. Like, they put enough detail into them that I can tell the difference between them and the Metakai Forest Navi.
The Forest Navis, yeah.
And they have a lighter skin compared to the dark blue.
Yeah, because I think it's kind of like shows out the difference where it's like since they kind of like are out there in the ocean more and they experience a lot of the sunlight more, probably like that lighter blue, kind of like blue greenish skins because they're out in the sea, sea more and the light more.
Yeah.
Versus the Navis who are, yes, they still have light, but they're more in the forest more.
Yeah, and they live in the rain from time to time, and the reef people do live in the rain and stuff.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, it does. They don't live in the but it's like they experience a lot more sunlight. They experience a lot more ocean life.
And the reef people in general, I thought it was interesting to see how they operated, how different they were from the Forest Navi.
Yeah,
and just
which begs the question, because we already see forests, we see water. Are we going to see air and fire?
Well, Cameron has said in the third film we're going to see Fire Navi, and they will be the villains of the next one.
I can kind of see that because I think fire, because they're a little bit, I would say more, you could say rageful, vengeful, maybe there may be, I don't know, I know he says villain in the next film. Could we see an enemy of my enemy is my friend per se?
I don't really know because we don't know too much yet about the third movie to know what it's going to be about.
Well, yeah, I guess not. But if we're going to go philosophy, like if they're going to be the main villains, like if we're going to take by his words, could we see again like the sky people? I know they say sky, but Earthlings. And again, the film they did mention Earth is dying, so they have to colonize basically.
Oh, that's actually one of the complaints I have about this film. So they say the Earth is dying, and they go back to Pandora. But I'm like, are there no other worlds to colonize in the galaxy? Like, why does it seem like Pandora is the only one? Are there no other Earth-like worlds? Because take NASA, for instance. They've identified, like, several Earth-like worlds.
Yeah.
You'd think there'd be another one out there than just Pandora.
Probably, but that's probably like, you could say maybe in this term, because this is, again, a sci-fi, so maybe in this term, this is like the closest one or the only one that they could be able to reach to without having, without having the risk of...
They could send out, like, probes. They could send out, like, expedition ships to see if they can find anything. Like,
Yeah.
NASA did shoot Voyager 1 out into space to try and find alien life. It hasn't found anything, but you would think, like, surely there's other worlds out there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there's definitely different planets and stuff like that, which we have seen light years away, whether it's like icy planet or a volcanic planet, or planets that's very similar to Earth that could be inhabited if need be. But
yeah, because like take Star Wars for instance. In Star Wars, there's a lot of habitable worlds. There's a lot of different cultures. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, how come in this universe the humans cannot find another world? Why is Pandora the only one?
Don't know, but which goes back again when I say about that, with the fire people, would the sky, the earth people, Earthlings, and the Navis and the reef people, would they all kind of like team up per se against the fire Navis?
Oh, for the third one?
Yeah.
Well, again, we don't know what it's going to be about. And James Cameron has said they're called the Ash people in the third one. But I don't know if really the Sky people will make a truce with everybody, but I think we're kind of thinking ahead.
Yeah, maybe thinking ahead right there. But if we're really going to, make like the fire people like an enemy,
Well, we'll see in 2 years when the third one comes out.
But I definitely know fire and water, they're usually butting heads a lot of the time. So I would imagine the reef and the ash, the reef people and the fire Navis are going to be probably at war again, per se.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I think another complaint I had with this was the scene where they reveal, like, when it's revealed that the main bad guy of the last movie, his consciousness was put into this recombinant body.
Yep.
And so they have this video log where he's like, oh, hey, what's up? I might die, so they're going to preserve my memories, and they're going to, like, put it in you.
Yeah.
When I first saw that scene, I'm like, none of this was planned, was it? Or it just seems so weird.
It did seem a little bit weird how the general or the colonel made a vlog almost as if he knew there's a good chance of him dying. Which, I mean, again, there probably is when you're exploring a new world, you're not too sure. So, I mean, you always have to make a backup plan per se. But that almost seems like it's too planned, you could say.
I would have kind of preferred if they had recovered the dead body and then they transferred whatever they could out of that body into the recombinant body.
Yeah.
I would have preferred maybe they found a way to preserve the consciousness. Like, maybe instead of that revelation, maybe what the scene could have done was they could have been like, well, you see, Colonel, you died, but we saved your memories from your dead body and then we put it into here,
Yeah.
And maybe what would have been kind of funny is if, like, when he comes back in that new body, he's like, Jake Sully? Jake Sully. And they're like, you want Jake Sully? Yeah, I want Jake Sully. We'll get you Jake Sully. Yeah, I want to kill him. And that's, like, all he talks about until, like, he gets all his memories back and stuff.
Well, I mean, it sort of was like that. I mean, it's not like Ravage, or Berserk-like per se. But it's just like, oh, yeah, I still have a good amount of memory of what happened. And it's like, he kind of, like, picks a few things too from either recordings or what he remembers from.
I just would have kind of liked it if, like, he's kind of struggled for a bit and over the course of the movie he eventually gets all his memories back.
Yeah.
I would have liked that because it seems like, when Jake gets into his body in the first movie, he adapted quick like that with Miles Quaritch.
Yeah.
Quick, just like that. Yeah. I just would like to see a struggle, when someone adapts to their new avatar body.
Yeah.
But that scene was just really strange to me.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you might die, so we're going to do this, but I just would have preferred something different.
Yeah. And again, he started to pick apart what happened to his human body, per se. Which is like, oh, Jake and his girlfriend and stuff like that killed me, basically. And he saw, like, the feather, so it's like, oh, so that's the... Okay. I got to score with her, basically, not just...
Yeah, in that video log that he saw of, like, the downed power suit that he was driving.
Yep.
And then he picks up his skull and he, like, crushes it for some reason.
Yeah.
Although he could have kept that as a reminder if he wanted to.
Yeah, he probably was thinking, too, because he's probably thinking, like, that's my old body, I'm not him anymore, or something like that. That's like, that's not me, even though it is me, but he started to kind of, like, you could say detach a little bit. He tried to detach from his human self, but he can't really. It's almost like he's trying to fight a little bit too. You could say throughout the film.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he is fighting a little bit with his human side or something like that. I guess I wasn't paying too much attention. I still kind of felt it was the same character, just in a different body.
Because, I mean, yeah, he still acts like the same character because he still sought out revenge, basically, of, you could say, his first death.
Yeah, and then another thing is that this movie, towards the beginning, I don't know why, and you may disagree with me on this, but I kind of got Empire Strikes Back vibes in the beginning.
Oh.
When the fleet of ships comes to Pandora, and James Cameron shoots this in a way as if it's like almost like Star Destroyers harboring over the planet.
Oh.
And then they send in their troops, and you can almost hear the Imperial theme in the background.
Yeah, well, yeah, because, here, I kind of thought, when he was explaining, like, all the good things was happening in life, I'm like, there's something that's going to pop up that's going to be a bad thing.
And then this fleet comes in over the planet.
It's like, you don't just say a good, life is good and everything else like that in a movie and not have something bad happen after the good story explanation.
Which is kind of which is actually what happened in Star Wars. Is like they destroy the Death Star and they think, oh, it's gonna be good, but no. Empire comes back. They have to leave Yavin 4, and then they get to Hoth, but then they gotta leave that again.
Well, yeah, no, it's almost like a story. You can almost say like a story trope per se, where it's like you think it's good, you think you're out of the woods, but then they come back, basically. Or you think life is good, but then something bad happens.
Which is why I got these Empire Strikes Back vibes from towards the beginning of this movie.
And I guess I can sort of see that per se in terms of, like the Empire Strikes Back with the ships and stuff like that. But to me, I was just getting another one of those, here we go again. Just get to the, but, everything changed when, they attack again. It's like, everything was peaceful and harmony, having a good life, but everything changed when the Sky People attack.
Yeah. I also kind of was, when the first time I saw this, I was kind of baffled with the way they did the reveal that Spider's father was the Colonel Quaritch.
Oh, yeah.
There's this scene where they're like, you're not him, and he's like...
It's like, you're not him, and then all of a sudden it cuts to the guy, and it's like, I kind of picked up on it right away, too. I was like, oh. Yeah,
the first time I saw that, I'm like, wait, what? James, Cameron, that's not how you do a reveal. There's better ways to do it.
Well, I mean, Star Wars kind of do with Han and Ben.
Oh, in Force Awakens?
Yeah, they sort of kind of did that.
Oh, yeah, now I kind of remember.
They sort of did that. Really.
But I mean, it was known before that movie came out that Han and Leia had children.
Well,
in
yeah.
The expanded universe.
Well, yeah. Again, yeah, it was known in the expanded universe. But again, this was a new one, so you didn't know that if he was the son or if he was just like a new character who he had any affiliation with until, again,
although I didn't...
Snoke just kind of said that, Solo or something like that, all of a sudden it's like, wait, what? And all of a sudden it just cuts to Han, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess Ben is the... Well, this Kylo Ren is the son of Han.
I didn't mind that revelation, because I was kind of concerned with who Kylo Ren may have been attached to.
Yeah.
So I didn't mind that. It's just with this movie, it just felt so sudden. Like there was no build-up. They just wanted to get it out of the way,
Yeah.
And the other thing, too, Spider's relationship with Quaritch is that I was kind of telling to myself the first time I saw this, is he going to convert to the humans? Is is he going to just stick with the Na'vi? Because they did say you won't betray Jake.
Yeah.
Because you have loyalty to him. But I was starting to question if he'd spend time with the humans and be like, wait, you all kept this away from me? But no, he just stuck with his Na'vi family, which is actually the same thing that happened with Tarzan.
Yeah, just because, again, he grew up with, very similar how Tarzan grew up with the apes, through most of his life. You can't cut that out. He, Spider kept, lived with that family for the most part. Now, again, he knows and they know that he's not really,
He's not really Na'vi.
Or, I would say in terms of that family structure, he's not part of that family. He's from a different family.
Yeah.
It's like that sort of thing. I kind of felt like with, Korra and Spider, I was
Quaritch
Quaritch and Spider, yeah. Those two, I'm like, okay, those two are going to be a thing. They don't really, they're hinting that way too much, which I kind of expect that, kind of grow on that third film.
They might do something in the sequels. Again, there's a lot of setup to the sequels in here.
Yeah, there's a lot of setups. I think those two, and I think...
before we get into that, it's like, with the Spider-Quaritch relationship, I don't know, it's like, I was just questioning, is he going to convert, is he going to stay, but I guess, it was just kind of strange to me the way they handled that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if, I don't exactly know what James Cameron's end game with it is, but whatever he's planning, it better be something good.
It probably has to do something with the main antagonist, the Colonel again, because this was more about the Colonel. Now he's the blue, part of the. Now he's Na'vi, but he still acts like himself.
Yeah, that's because he's the demon in the body, so to speak.
Demon in the body. Yeah. So with Spider learning the ways of the humans and stuff like that, he's learning, not all, because there were some scientists who do somewhat. There's one scientist who sort of respects life per se, while another one hunts it down. It doesn't, goes for riches and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's another thing I wanted to get into later. But there's this scene you walked out on, actually, because you had to go to the bathroom when this scene happened. There's this torture scene where they have Spider on a gurney, and there's this spinning stuff around his head because they're trying to figure out the location of Jake.
Yeah.
And I maybe I got this vibe too from Empire, with that scene where Han, he's on the gurney, and then they put him down with the electrical stuff, and it's like, ding, ding,
trying to find the location of Luke, and even though they don't know where he's at, they don't know.
Yeah, I kind of got that out too, but thankfully Spider did not know where Jake was, and he was still loyal to him. He would never give him up.
No, although too, if they try to tell him, guess what? They probably would have left. Knowing them, probably. Good guess is they probably abandoned ship, which they did. They abandoned ship and went elsewhere.
Yeah, so the way that relationship was handled was kind of strange to me, but maybe there's some kind of end game to it. We're just not being revealed about it yet. But it's kind of strange how this movie's setting up stuff for more sequels, because before this came out, James Cameron said something about how this was going to be a standalone story that was fully on its own. There'd be no setup of any kind. But it looks like he backtracked on that a little bit.
He's backtracked on a few things, I know. You could say. Again, the relationship between Spider with two people. Spider and...
Quaritch.
Spider and the Colonel.
The Colonel?
Because, again, it's still the father-son relationship. So, because again, he could have left Colonel to die underneath and just kept him drowned to death, but instead he got him back up. Because, that...
Oh, no, I know what you're talking about. All right.
I kind of feel like, because of that saving, there could be something where it's change of heart, basically.
The one big sequel thing that I think they're kind of teasing, and we're going to get into this now. So, Sigourney Weaver's character, as we know, died in the last movie.
Yeah.
But for some reason, she now had a child in her avatar body. And they have no explanation for who the father is.
Yep, and that's another one too, where it's that felt like another setup for either the third or
the fourth or the fifth one.
One of those two. It's probably going to be. My guess will be the third to announce it, because it feels like you kind of threw that out there. We don't get an explanation. You kind of have to tell us.
Yeah, and they kind of play around with the idea that maybe Norm was the father, but then they don't dwell on that too much.
Oh yeah, I know the other like kind of like assistant or like something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like they joke about it, but I don't think so. Then there was the scene where she asked her mom, but she was kind of like it felt like it was like a traumatizing no. It's too painful to kind of like tell you per se.
Like maybe Awa made this child, or there's something that's going to be really shocking they'll reveal in the sequels. I just don't want the revelation to be, if they do this in the sequels where I'm like, wait, what? I want it to be like, wait, what? Like a more optimistic kind of wait, what, you know? Because if they do something really dumb in the sequels, I'm going to get angry at it.
Are you saying like Colonel maybe again?
No, not like Colonel, just like a character we never heard about or never like was mentioned, and now it comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But if it's Awa, I'll be like, wait, oh, that's really big.
Yeah, which would also explain a lot of her connectivity to the Earth, basically, or Pandora.
Yeah, because you see in this movie, like, she has this connection with the animals in the water, the plant life to a point.
Yeah, almost with any creature. From the forest to the water. Connection with everything.
Yeah, and
way too much, basically. And she seemed to adapt to a lot of things quickly. So it's like, yeah, she's not a fighter, but per se, but again, she has a lot of connection to nature, so much so that's like there has to be something, basically.
Yeah, I mean, whatever they're setting up, I just want it to be a good revelation in the sequels. And I mean, it's kind of this movie has a lot of situations in the setup where it's like it's raising new questions that won't get answered until the next movie.
Yeah.
And this movie did kind of answer maybe loose ends or questions from the last one that you were kind of wondering about. But this sets up its own series of questions that'll get answered later on. There's been like serialized storytelling that's done this over the years.
Yeah.
So it looks like Cameron wants to do that here.
Yeah. And of course you had the big fight sequence at the end too, in the water as well, with the ship sinking too. Made it more dramatic.
Oh, actually, the ship sinking scenes,
Yeah.
where they're like stuck in the ship and the water's like up to neck or shoulder high.
Yeah.
Now, I have not seen Titanic in its entirety, but I know James Cameron made that too. He had sequences, from what I remember, where people were in the water where it was like up this high to shoulder level, you know? I was getting some Titanic vibes, even though I haven't really seen that entire movie.
And then, and again, that whole fight sequence too. And then, of course, you have near-death situation too, which was hinted at the entire movie of near deaths of like one of the brothers per se, until the that climax part.
Oh yeah, it was Netiyam, or however you say his name.
Yeah.
He like gets shot, but when he dies, I didn't really feel anything for his death.
I felt like his death was way too, you could say, quick, because he started to panic. And most death scenes, the movie directors, they usually give them something, the calm breath, and they usually try to say something right before they kind of gave out their last breath.
I guess Cameron wanted to avoid that cliche.
This felt abrupt, basically, like the whole like, and then beep.
Maybe it hit a vital organ, which is why he was so quick.
Well, it hit him like in the back area, like right here, like around there. So it's like up here, you could say gunfire back here. So it's like, it is like hard to breathe, but it's like one of those like, do, and it just stops.
Yeah, I think the main problem I had is that we don't spend enough time with the older brother to really get to know him. Like, we know him a little bit, but I would have preferred if we spent more time or maybe more scenes with him where I could feel something when he died.
Yeah. I mean, to me, he always felt like it was the good older brother who always tries to take the blame. And the father kind of like was like, at some point during the film was like, okay, I'm just getting sick and tired of you taking the blame for everything. You don't have to take the blame for everything for whatever he does. All right, your little brother does.
Yeah. I mean, and I didn't mind the young kid characters in this movie.
Yeah.
Although the one kid character that I felt was very useless and didn't do much was Tuck, the youngest one.
Oh, you mean the little girl or something?
Yeah, I kind of feel like she didn't really do much, or just didn't have much to do in terms of the plot.
I mean, compared to all the other kids who are teenagers or close to adult, like, that young adulthood, she was probably, you could say, like an 8-year-old or something like that, around, give or take, basically, around that range. There's not much she could do.
I know, but it's like, there's other movies I've seen where even the youngest kids will have something to do, or at least they have more of a character,
Yeah.
I just didn't feel like she was the best of the young kid characters.
I know, but this is like one of those, like, she's still trying to learn everything. She's like a 8-year-old. Let her grow.
I don't know. Maybe in the sequels they'll give her more to do.
Yeah.
She'll get a bigger role.
Yeah.
And I would like that, actually, if she had more to do in the sequels, which will probably happen as time goes on.
Yeah.
Oh, and as for the teenage characters, Loak, who's the middle child, I didn't mind him too much.
Yeah, because he played the outcast, kind of like child, basically.
Yeah, which is kind of what Jake Sully did what he went through in the first movie as well, where he was the outcast and he had to sort of learn to not be the outcast.
Yeah.
I kind of got that here, but I didn't mind him that much. I liked him for what he was.
Yeah.
But there was this one strange scene where, like, when they go to the Reef People for the first time, you see the main teenage girl character. She's coming out of the water, flipping her hair back and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, that's so cheesy. And the way he looks at her, he's like, oh, attractive Navi girl, dibs. It was so cheesy.
It was the cheesy, like, you look at her and it's like, oh, like one of the main guys look at one of the other girl and it's like, oh my god, and looks away and it's like, okay, that's gonna be a thing.
But they didn't really go with the love angle, Maybe they'll do that in the sequels. Or something like that.
They were hinting that way too. They were hinting it started to grow a little bit. It started to develop that love interest. I noticed that. They didn't really, like, push it out there, but they did kind of, like, nudged it. I saw the nudge.
Yeah. Hang on a sec, folks. Just gotta check up something quick.
All right.
Yeah, when I saw the trailers, I'm like, oh, are they gonna do this, like, love interest angle and go all the way with it like they did in the first one? But maybe they're saving that for the sequels. I'm not entirely too sure.
Yeah, but I know they were nudging. There's two young couples, basically, kind of like that sort of thing. And I already mentioned one earlier. This is the other one where I know they were nudging a little bit as well for future, developments, for future.
Yeah, and we never really know Spider's mother either. Like, I was kind of wondering who that was going to be.
That is a interesting question per se, about the mother. Because you know about the father, but not so much of the mother. Although they never seem to question that.
Yeah, like, they don't question that at all. Maybe they'll just abandon it when the sequels come around, but it's one of those unanswered questions.
Yeah.
What's weird to me, though, is that for some reason, the humans cannot figure out how to transport babies in cryosleep.
Yeah, although I kind of think, like, if you put a baby in cryo, that's still, freezing a baby up. Kind of like how Spider said, it's kind of going to be hard to freeze a baby.
Well, you would think I don't know what century this is in the future. It's like 26th century or something.
Yeah, who knows?
Because I think the year was like 2,500 something in the first movie, so maybe it is the 26th century. But you would think in the future they would find a way to freeze young kids or babies, or just make sure they have a way to keep them alive and stuff. This is the future. Come up with something.
I know, but even then, it's really hard because, again, compared to like actual like fully kind of like built on either kid or adults or stuff like that, it's just like, for them it's easier because their organs and structures are already kind of like there or still developing, versus a baby or something like that where it's like they still need other things to keep growing and living.
Yeah, they still could have come up with something, but I guess if there's a complication behind it, okay. But there's one example I can think of in sci-fi where they did have frozen embryos.
Yeah.
If you remember in Alien Covenant, there's a scene towards the end where David horks up these little pods of like facehugger embryos.
Yeah.
He puts it in this like cryo-freeze thing, like a drawer, and there's like, you can see little embryos in there, which I think are human embryos.
Yeah.
So they could have come up with something.
Maybe, but yeah, it's still like, I still think it's kind of hard to kind of like how Spider said in the film, you can't freeze up a baby.
Mm-hmm. Well, then again, this maybe pushes the phrase, "This is the future. Nothing works in the future," or we can't come up with something in the future. I don't know.
Well, I mean, was it Back to the Future? You know how they went from 85 to like 2015. And somehow in 2015 they were supposed to be like the, was it hoverboards and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, like they predicted we would get hoverboards, but the hoverboards we have don't fly, but they just move motorized on the ground.
Yeah.
So we got hoverboards, just not what we was predicted,
Yeah, no, it's nothing like that. Or like how the Jensen, even though it's like a cartoon and stuff like that.
The Jetsons?
Yeah, the Jensen, like, oh, the year is 2002 and 2004 and stuff like that. Even though, again, it's cartoon. But flying vehicles, flying this, flying that, everything, it's like...
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's never going to end.
Yeah, it's like...
Oh my gosh.
And again, it's like, we're still using motorized vehicles. Yes, we have some electric cars, but we were using motorized vehicles.
Yeah, and some old habits in the future just never die, like whaling in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, whaling nowadays, it's still kind of around in specific parts of the world. I won't go into that too much.
Yeah.
But there's a South Park episode that went into that. But in this movie, whaling involves basically shooting these balloon things into the animals and then harpooning them.
Yeah.
Which I'm no expert on whaling, so... You would think they'd have something more advanced than a harpoon to kill a whale.
Yeah, although I thought the explosive was going to be that make or break. Hit it once and then boosh. So I was kind of like waiting for that body parts to explode because he's like, we got explosive harpoon. I'm like, are you gonna blow up the thing?
Well, we can't do that. This is PG-13. We can't get too graphic.
Yeah, I know. Because when you said explosive harpoon, I was like kind of waiting for that.
I guess I missed that little detail, but some old habits just don't die.
Yeah.
But when they whale, they get this special thing out of them. It's Amrita, I believe.
Yeah, for the whales, those creatures, they kind of, because again, this is the other good scientists talk about how these creatures are a lot more smarter than us and stuff like that. Because again, they were able to communicate, with the other people, like the other Navis, the reef people.
Oh yeah, it was so strange how these animals could speak English and they could understand it. And what would have been kind of a funny joke, because I know Disney owns this movie because they bought 20th Century Fox.
Yeah.
What would have been kind of funny is if Disney told James Cameron, can you have one of the characters say this to the whale? We need you to find something, like how Dory spoke in whale.
Yeah, no, but the middle child was talking English, or doing the gesture and stuff like that to the whale. Whale, I mean, he spoke too, or kind of like spoke, and translation was there too.
Yeah, maybe there's a telepathic communication, like some kind of telepathy.
Yeah, or more gestures or something like that per se, or telepathy too. Yeah, but it's like they apparently are smart enough to do all this sort of stuff, and what they have in there too, so is some sort of way to, I guess, de-age or stop the aging, basically.
Oh yeah, the Amrita stops human aging or slows it down to a point.
To the point of you don't age, kind of like the fountain of youth, basically.
Yeah. But real life whaling, they hunted whales for blubber, oil, and some other stuff, and they had no anti-aging properties in that.
Well, because I think with whaling today, or
back then,
back then,
most of it's banned now.
Most of it's banned now, but back then, oil, oil was used for other things too, machineries and stuff like that, blubber, food, and other things and stuff like that.
I'd have to know because I'm no expert on whaling.
I know. Yeah, not expert on whaling either. But again, oil, you're using it for something else, manufacture-wise. Blubber, you're probably using it for meat or something like that, food or other things as well. So you could, even though we're not experts on it, but you could pick out a few things that could, again, go into what other needs that we probably needed back then as well.
But at least Amrita was a much better name than Unobtainium in the last movie.
Oh, yeah.
Because The Rock was called Unobtainium, and people criticized the original Avatar for that, saying it was one of the dumbest names for a mineral in sci-fi.
Yeah.
But then there were other sci-fi movies that came up with even dumber names.
Yeah.
Like Transformers came up with Transformium, and why am I using that as an example?
Yeah, but again, like, well, at least with Anna Maria, yeah, it's like it basically stops aging, basically, which is it's like its own little fountain of youth.
One maybe there's people that got a hold of that and they're abusing it as if it's like a drug, you know.
Don't know, but again, $8 million according to one of the bad, you know.
Yeah, it's like 8 million or something higher, and I'm like, really? 8 million for that? Oh my gosh, the inflation.
No, not 80.
80 million?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez, the inflation really hurts in the future.
Yeah.
I mean, with the inflation we got now, I mean,
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. And the other thing, too, about the whaling is that people have said the environmental message of this movie was save the whales or keep our oceans safe and pure. Kind of like how with the first Avatar, they're like, save the rainforest.
Yeah.
Which is the environmental message most people got out of that movie.
Yeah.
See, I don't know if there was too much of an environmental message in this, like some people were saying.
Not really. A lot of the message was, family strong, basically, and stuff like that, or family sticks together, basically.
Yeah, but some people were like getting that out of this movie, and I'm like, yeah, we've made tons of efforts to preserve the whales.
Yeah.
At least I think we have.
Try our best in terms of sea life. Probably a lot more better than.
There's a ton of Asian countries that have like polluted their waters and stuff, but I don't mean to insult anybody. I'm just pointing that out.
I'm saying like we've done a lot more. I would say a better job at preserving sea life, probably a lot more better than land life per se.
That is true. Although, I mean, we'd want to get the plastic out of the ocean.
True, but I will say this though: we've done a lot more better preserving sea life more by trying, still taking plastic or still doing that. But we've done a lot more better preserving sea life than we have with land life, considering that how many land life species are in danger versus sea life.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe Cameron, he didn't really go into it too much, but some people kind of got that out. Me, I mean, this was more action movie with that family theme,
Yeah.
It wasn't delving too heavy into the environmental message, so
Yeah.
I guess, I'm not sure. And then one of the whale creatures is actually a special character in its own right.
Yeah.
It's like Piakton or Piaka or whatever they say it.
Yeah, another outcast, you could say. And they call him an outcast because they believe that he kind of like killed one of his own kind or something like that.
Or he killed some Na'vi or other Tolkien.
Yeah.
But really he was just trying to fight back against the whalers because he's like, yeah, I don't want them killing everyone I love.
Yeah.
And I don't think we saw him fight the whalers in that flashback too much, but we just saw
bits and pieces of them like kind of like fighting or jumping and diving, but it's like there's not much you could do because they kind of like did everything and everything was was dead at the end basically. So it's like you try, but it's like at that sequence it felt like like nothing you could do basically.
There's that, and then the Tolkiens, they're essentially a very pacifistic species.
Yeah.
And if they do something violent, because they established in the movie they were at war and they fought over territory.
Yep.
But then they realized this is not the way, and they became like pacifists.
It was pacifist, but they know that one little flick, and they will go to war. So it's like they are pacifists to a degree. They will. Their main goal is to be pacifist. But if you kill one of their members, per se, there will be bloodshed, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, because if I was an animal and I saw my species getting killed off in a really bad way, I'd want to fight back against the humans without getting anybody else killed.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, you can't get violent, so you're the outcast.
Yeah.
But he wasn't really much of a killer. They were just twisting it to their own story.
They're twisting to their own story because, again, they never saw what really happened, per se. They never saw what really happened, so you could say they could only be able to interpret of what happened based on what you see. Kind of like how if you were to walk into a room and all of a sudden you see somebody kind of like panicking, but they have either a gun to their hand or blood's on their hand, and the room is full of bloody, dead bodies and blood everywhere.
Yeah, but
you can only interpret, your probably first instinct was, the guy that's probably shaking his hand or doing this with a gun or a knife, whatever, and blood's on their hand, that they're the killer.
Yeah, but I did like the whale character. I thought for a non-speaking character, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it's nice that we have animal characters in this one, because in the last movie, yeah, you had the creatures, but the creatures didn't have too much of a character.
Yeah,
I would say they were just like very serving to the plot.
Yeah.
Whereas here we kind of have somewhat of a full-fledged animal character.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll get a little more if James Cameron wants to go that route.
Yeah, and he kind of made up to where it's like he actually got over his pacifist or kind of like cowardly way, you could say, of fighting back when he's noticed, his friend and the other two were kind of like captive, and he kept like kind of like you could say kind of like trying to pump himself back up, like we gotta save him, and all of a sudden just dives up. And then he was experienced enough too. You saw too with the whale too, where he was able to deflect that explosive harpoon. Because when I say explosive, again,
yeah, and then
he deflected it and went onto one of the bridges or something like that, and exploded.
Yeah, and then there's this scene where like the whale character, he's like fighting back against the whalers who are either Australian or New Zealand, because I know this movie was shot around New Zealand.
Yep.
And so he's fighting the character, and then the wire gets caught in the guy's arm like this, and he's like, and then it flies off.
Well, yeah, it was really quick too, because when I saw it, I'm like, that arm's coming off.
Yeah, and I'm like, it would have been kind of funny if the guy went, my arm's gone.
Yeah, well,
or something like that.
Well, no, because it was way too quick per se, because it's like you have that force that quick. You're flying with it, like you're flying off with it, even with your arm cut off. You're flying with that arm off.
Yeah, that was probably one of the graphic parts about this movie, even though this is a PG-13. But
yeah.
I guess Cameron didn't want to do too much.
Also, they never showed his death, so even though they showed his arm cut off, they never showed his death. He could come back.
Maybe, but with a prosthetic arm.
Yep.
Or something like that.
Because it was a clean cut.
Or maybe he'd lose a clean cut, like he wouldn't lose too much blood.
It was like, it was like one of those how like it was too clean of a cut. Like it's still probably gonna be bloody per se, but it was like that clean cut to where it's like if you put like a prosthetic arm in there, most of it you can like do this per se, kind of like a like robotic arm where it's like you can get back vitals basically. It's like where it's like versus like could be a messed up arm and it could be janky a little bit or whatever the case may be. Basically how Dooku with the lightsaber cut off, Anakin.
Yeah, with Anakin's arm, and then he got his arm.
Yeah.
And then how Luke got his robotic hand.
Yep, same thing with Luke. How it was a clean cut basically, and not so much. Even probably blood was, you could say was spilled, but again, it was a lightsaber, so it got burned, so you can't really spill blood because hot energy, so it's kind of like crystallized or kind of like molten right there. So I mean, with him, it's like a clean cut, but I mean, it's a wire, so probably there will be blood being spilled too, just because. I mean, he could have died for massive blood loss too, because he did land in water, so blood could have been still like gushing out. It could have been, so maybe not. But I'm just saying that it could be a possibility since we didn't see a dead corpse from him.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe he'll come back, but I don't know if they have too much to do with his character if they bring him back.
Well, you could do that because, again, if you bring back, again, they're staying with the water people, so you could bring them back again as more of a vengeful with a robotic arm.
Yeah, and we are going to see more of the reef people in the sequels. Like, I know they're coming back.
Yeah.
So they're not going away anytime soon.
So I could see them bringing him back, and he's a little bit more vengeful with that, with more aggressive whaling procedure.
Yeah, I think we've kind of talked about all the major scenes or moments or things in this movie.
Most of it, there are a couple, there are a couple other ones too.
Actually, the scene when the humans come back and the ships like crash on the planet, and then you see this giant wall of fire,
Yeah.
and it destroys the rainforest. Like, that's probably one of the most destructive things I think I've ever seen in a movie. And I've seen my fair share of destruction, but that's like very destructive, where you see it scorch the land and then kill
scorch earth basically.
Kill any animals,
Yeah.
Like, I've seen my fair share of destructive scenes. That scene was pretty destructive.
Yeah. Then you also got several other scenes too later in the film where it's like a family dispute or kind of like argumentative, especially.
Yeah, there was a scene that you had to go to the bathroom for, but there's a scene where like Jake and Neytiri, they're arguing over should we leave the Amatakai, should we stay?
Yeah.
But the thing is, if they stay, they're just going to get killed, which makes sense for them to go.
Yep, made sense.
Didn't really mind that scene too much. I actually thought it would fit pretty good into the plot.
Yep, and there was also some other scene too where the new, or not the new, the tribe king of the Reef people, they were arguing with the outcast son about why did you talk with the outcast
whale creature?
Whale creature, yeah. Where it's, to them it's like that's forbidden basically because he's a killer in their eyes.
Well, I didn't really mind those scenes. I actually thought they were pretty consistent with the disputes in the first movie.
Yep.
Because for one thing, Cameron knows how to write those kinds of scenes.
Yep.
I did not mind those scenes at all.
Yep.
Oh, actually, there's this vehicle that the humans use in the water scenes. They're these crab bots,
Yeah.
I don't know why, but they kind of reminded me of the arachnotrons from Doom. Like those spider monsters with the brains and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They were in Doom 2 and some of the other Doom games, but those crab bots kind of reminded me of the arachnotrons in a way.
Oh, yeah.
Not too much, but it got that little feeling from it.
Then you got the kind of like climax of the film where, again, the ship was badly damaged, so they had to go and basically night operation rescue after the older son died.
Oh,
and
yeah.
The two girls were captured. So again,
there's this line that the youngest character makes. She's like, "I can't believe I got tied up again."
Yeah, it's like
first time I saw that, I saw this with my dad, and he cringed at that dialogue.
Yeah.
He thought it was a very bad attempt at like Marvel humor that James Cameron was putting in this.
I would have gone with more of, again, captured or something more of a line of capture. Like, really, I got captured again, or.
Yeah, I mean that's probably the worst line in the movie.
Yeah.
And some people said the dialogue, who saw this movie said the dialogue wasn't very good. I mean, not really.
Yeah.
Outside of that one bad line that the youngest character makes, I didn't have too much of a problem with the dialogue.
But again, it was like the whole like night operation and wrathful of the parents, you could say. Wrath of the parents who are just gun raging or bow and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, Wrath of the Parents, kind of like that scene in 101 Dalmatians when the parents like breach the home of Cruella de Vil and they like go all out on the bad guys to save their puppies.
Yep, this was more of they go all out to save their two daughters basically, and they brought Spider with them because Spider was like, they're here. They told the middle child, stay back, you've done, caused too much trouble enough, and but the the outcast kid, didn't want to stay back, and he kind of helped out too at the end as well. Again, it was not without their knowledge, basically, but again, so it was again a family, again, rageful, wrathful parents going all out to save their two girls.
Yeah, and Cameron did a lot of the family aspects of this movie really well. Like, he knew how to write them in a way where we're like, okay, they're behaving like how people should behave,
Yeah.
And we're probably going to see more of that in the sequels, because Cameron said that's an overarching theme throughout all these movies that he wants to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the big climax, that was pretty fun to watch. Like, a lot of the action in this movie was really well done and just fun to watch. Like that sequence where they destroy the train, actually.
Oh yeah,
and it slows down and flips over and stuff. That was impressive to watch.
Yeah. And again, that started the first sort of like family dispute because where the outcast kid wanted to go down there on the ground, basically, where the older one tells him, no, we have to stay up here. And then, of course, that was another near-death experience of the older kid. But, of course, the younger child, the middle child got away unscathed, basically. But again, there were supposed to be spotters where, had they were still up there with the gun, when the gunship came around the corner, they probably would have been like, hey, gunship incoming! And they would have probably taken it down, too.
Yeah, but I mean, like all the action in this movie was really well done. It's like, when it comes to James Cameron and action, he knows how to deliver.
Yeah.
You've seen this in the Terminator movies, you've seen this in Aliens, you've seen in the first Avatar, and anything else you've seen from him. He knows how to do action really well.
Yeah.
So, and then the end credits, there's not really much of a post-credit in this film, which is good. But we do get a montage of all the ocean life, which I thought was really well done.
Oh, yeah.
It was like watching a big budget special from the BBC.
Oh, yeah.
And their Planet Earth documentaries.
Oh, yeah.
Well, in this case, it's Pandora. That was impressive. I liked that a lot. I don't think we have that much to say in terms of like major scenes or plot points.
No, other than at the end, other than the rap of the parents and the main fight between Jake and
the Colonel Quaritch.
Colonel, yeah. And then of course the ship was still sinking too. Then they had to get the kids out or get the parents out, everybody out.
Oh wait, there's one more scene I actually kind of wanted to talk about. There's a scene where Quaritch, he's like interrogating a different reef tribe.
Yeah.
And then he like burns their home and stuff.
Yeah.
That's basically like if you ever in history class you saw images or paintings of like the white man destroying the villages of the native people and stuff. That's very much like that, and you could just tell Cameron's basically going for this allegory, but we can obviously tell what it is. There's no like digging deep to it.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's kind of the thing is like maybe Cameron, if he wanted to go a little more in depth and deeper, he could have done something, but simple works on some occasions.
Yeah.
I guess really it's just, you know, when I saw the first trailer to this movie, and we saw it a lot throughout the summer of last year actually, I was just so blown away by that trailer. I just didn't know what we were going to get with this. Yep. Which is why I kind of feel the story and all the imagery here is nothing groundbreaking, but it's still like entertaining to watch. Because that's the other thing too, is this movie is 3 hours, 10 to 12 minutes long, but I wasn't bored watching it the entire time.
Yeah, no.
I was not, because I was intrigued. I was invested enough. Kind of like how I was with the first one, which is why I think this film's on the same level of quality as the first one.
Yeah.
And, I mean, for what it's worth, I think we got our money's worth.
Yep, oh, definitely, for sure.
And when it comes to the runtime, like, people have said some of the scenes should have been trimmed down, like some of the visual effects sequences, the underwater scenes.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but the first time I saw this, I know how great the visual effects are in this movie.
Yep.
I was kind of comparing these impressive visual effects to, like, impressive tech demos in video gaming, for instance. Like when Rage came out, and you've heard of Rage, right?
Yeah, I've heard Rage, yeah.
When Rage came out, like it was a very beautiful game to look at because of the id Tech 5 engine.
Yeah.
But many people said it was essentially a tech demo to showcase the id Tech 5 engine.
Yeah.
Of course, the engine did get used for other games like Wolfenstein: The New Order and The Evil Within.
Yep.
But with Avatar, it's like, yeah, there's scenes that I think are tech demo-ish, but I'm really immersed in what I'm watching that I can't hate this movie too much.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe you could have trimmed stuff down or make it a little shorter, but with the long runtime, first time I saw this movie, I was kind of questioning if this was going to get up to the length of the Snyder Cut of Justice League.
Oh, yeah.
It did not. And because the Snyder Cut, here's the thing, that's a very long movie.
Yeah.
And it felt long the first time I watched it. But this one, I mean, I was questioning, is it going to get as long as the Snyder Cut? But thankfully it did not.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's like when a movie's longer, that's where people get nervous. They're like, I don't know if I'm going to keep my attention for long.
Yeah.
But I do want to ask, what did you think of the runtime of this?
Runtime was, it did, from a couple instances, because it is a 3-hour film, I kind of knew this ahead of time, too. Because it was like, okay, this is going to be like a 3-hour film. Because it was, first film was also really long. This film, I was like, okay, this is going to be still a very long film. It felt entertaining. I knew it was long, and it did have that long runtime, but it felt entertaining, basically.
Yeah, it's like you watch Lord of the Rings, for instance. Like, they're very long movies, but they're entertaining because Peter Jackson knows how to make an entertaining movie.
Yeah.
Same thing with James Cameron. He's making a long movie, but he knows how to keep you invested and make it entertaining, although some people will probably get bored with this or tune out.
Yeah.
It just depends on your attitude going into it.
Yeah.
That's kind of the deal. And another thing I kind of wanted to mention with this movie is, like, because it had a high budget, like $350 million to $460 million, which is the same budget Avengers Endgame had.
Yeah.
James Cameron said this movie needs to make like $2 billion worldwide to break even. as soon as that news came out, people were like, "This is gonna be a flop. This is gonna be the biggest flop of all time." But considering the amount of money it's made so far, I'm like, no, it's not a flop.
No. Because again, when they hear about, breaking even and you hear in the billions per se, doesn't matter if it's like 1 or 10 or whatever the case may be, you just hear billions, it's like, holy crap, how are you going to make that much money back? And it's like, again, because of how great the first one was, people came back to the second time, and most of them are, I would imagine they're still at awe because of how the visuals are.
Yeah, and maybe they didn't mind the story that much, and they're like, simple works, don't make it overly complicated.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what some other things have been doing over the years.
Yeah.
But the reason why Avengers Endgame was so successful with its box office run was because of all the build-up from the other Marvel movies, and the fact there was no pandemic going on at the time.
Not at the time, no.
But nowadays, people were like, with virus going around the planet, this might hurt the box office. And I'm like, not really, because this did have a major release in China.
Yeah.
And it's going to make money in China, no doubt.
Yeah, and more so globally as well.
Yeah, because that's the thing is, like, people like a good visual spectacle, and they like, good images, even if the story's simple and stuff. But I would say we got our money's worth, and maybe I was kind of mixed the first time I saw it, but seeing it again, the fact that I think this is on the same level of quality as the first movie, I guess I didn't mind it as much.
Yeah.
I'd say this was a good time.
I thought it was still kind of like how I felt the first time with the with the first movie. This was still a really good movie. This was still that breathtaking visual, good storytelling. Everything else is,
Yeah, I maybe have a few things to pick apart about it, a few complaints, but honestly, I'd say I had a good time, and I'm pretty blown away by what I saw, and I'm kind of invested in this world to a point.
Yeah.
But I do want to ask you, though, what are you excited to see the next set of movies that he's got planned?
Well, let's just start with 3, which I am, again, really excited about. 4 or 5, it's, we still have, a while to wait on those, but I am excited to see what the third one brings into action, especially with the fire people kind of getting involved.
Yeah, but we don't know what they're going to look like just yet. Maybe they'll be red-skinned.
I would imagine so. I probably, again, like the red and black, like that red and black kind of like supposed to depict of like molten lava or fire and stuff like that.
Yeah, maybe they can adapt to the environment, whereas the other tribes can't.
They can adapt to a lot more environments, again, like the water. Well, yeah, water or forest, air. But again, I would imagine them having more rivals with the water people because, again, the whole trope of ice or water versus fire.
Yeah, and Cameron said that with the third movie, it could be called Avatar: The Seed Bearer, which I have no idea what that means.
Seed Bearer. That could be, a few things, but can't think of them right now, just instinctively.
Yeah, maybe the revelation will come when the time comes. And then he said the fourth one could be called Avatar: The Tolkien Rider.
Okay, I could see a little bit more air in that one.
Yeah, if there's going to be air Na'vi. Kind of like how in Avatar: The Last Airbender, you got earth, water, fire, and air.
Yep, I was kind of going into that a little bit there, with my earlier pitch right there. Because we started out with, first one being more foresty, this one being more watery.
The next one will have fire.
And then probably the fourth one, air.
Yeah, although Cameron said something about Earth Na'vi showing up in the fourth movie, which I have no idea what he's talking about with that. Because wouldn't you think the Forest Na'vi or the Earth Na'vi?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah, maybe there's like different different types of like the Earth.
Maybe Na'vi in the mountains or rocky areas.
Yeah, Rockies or something like that, yeah.
And
or
then,
like the sand dunes or something like that.
If there is a desert on Pandora.
True, there is, yeah.
Or if there's an Arctic region, which I don't know if there is.
I would imagine more water, kind of like very similar to like the reef people, except more Arctic cold. Maybe it's like icy blue per se, rather than like the rainy blue from the forest, or like the sea, ocean blue, green kind of like vibe.
And he also said with the fifth Avatar, because it's going to happen no matter what, with the money this has made, it's going to be called Avatar: The Quest for Awa, which will we see Awa in these movies at some point.
Oh, you mean the kind of like Mother Earth or something?
The deity that the Na'vi worships.
Yeah, which is again, it is Mother Earth basically. You could, Because it's almost like Gaia or Hell or Tiamat basically again.
Yeah, like that. I mean, maybe we'll see Awa show up. I don't know.
Because I'd imagine something like that. It's like the Tiamat or again like that Mother Earth vibe basically.
But I did hear that in the 5th one, James Cameron is planning on Neytiri visiting Earth. So we might get to see more of Earth in the 5th movie, because we saw a little bit of it in the extended cut of the first Avatar, where it's overly populated, it's very industrialized, not easy to live in.
Yeah.
But maybe we'll see more of it in the 5th one.
That's for sure, yeah.
And then Cameron said he wants to possibly make Avatar 6 and 7, which I'm like, you're getting ahead of yourself.
You're reaching a little bit there, yeah.
But I think because Cameron he doesn't know if he'll do the 5th one, and he said 6 and 7 will only happen if there's enough demand.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's making all these sequels, I kind of see it like Cameron's basically saying that, okay, I'm sorry the Terminator movies after Terminator 2 were bad. I'm going to make sure that that doesn't happen with this franchise.
Yeah.
Because James Cameron has publicly said anything after Terminator 2 isn't very good.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, because I didn't like I don't remember what my opinion on the 3rd one was, but the 4th one I did not like at all.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I'd hate the 5th and 6th ones.
Well, because the Terminator became more of instead of like the one robot trying to terminate or a second one trying to terminate and the other one trying to save the other one, it became more of like a warfare sort of thing. It went from a futuristic robot came back to kill somebody, then that futuristic robot tries now protects or something like that. Then all of a sudden it became more of a sci-fi warfare.
Well, fans wanted to see the future war in Terminator.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see it too, but the way the story was told in Terminator 4 was very convoluted and just doing things that were not very good in terms of writing, you know? And so it's like with these Avatar sequels and the fact Cameron's doing them, most of them, like he's doing 3 and 4, that much I know. I'm not sure if he'll do the rest, but I kind of want him to do number 5.
Yeah, at least in terms of like, with, AOI,
But it's almost like, okay, I'm going to make sure the sequels aren't bad. I'm going to make sure you're entertained by them, because if I do the same mistake I did with Terminator, it'll probably go bad.
Yeah. But again, I mean, I like his, I kind of like how he's future planning, but I'm like, don't try to make promises you cannot keep.
Yeah, you're right on that, because we have seen that happen before, where people will make promises and then, they end up not happening.
Yeah.
We've seen it happen in other forms of media, which...
I don't mind the 3rd and 4th one coming out with, again, 3rd one sounds like it'd be more fire, potentially, 4th one going to be more air, and then 5th going to be...
We're going to Earth.
We're going to, or kind of like the whole, like, deity of Pandora, kind of like the goddess or something like that of Pandora. Or, kind of like, again, you're going to meet, their Mother Earth, basically.
Or maybe it's like with Avatar and the fact that he's making all these sequels. It's almost like James Cameron is telling to himself, this is my property, kind of like how George Lucas didn't want to let go of Star Wars, but he ended up letting go of it.
Yeah.
So I'm basically going to do what I want to do, because I don't want this to go bad like some other franchises did.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
But I am intrigued with the next set of movies that he's got planned, and I will definitely be there to see them.
Yep.
Because I am excited to see where he takes the direction of this franchise.
Yeah.
And when that video game Frontiers of Pandora comes out, I'm definitely picking that up for the PlayStation 5.
Yeah. There was an old Avatar game too that came out like 360.
360 PS3 era, I know that.
Yeah.
That was back when movie tie-in games were starting to die off.
Yeah. But I think I saw like a clip from one of the YouTubers too, and there was like a little bit of a choice sequence too in the beginning of the game, where you get to choose between either the Navi people or
the humans.
Yeah.
I definitely would have to play that game to find out.
Yeah, I did see a gameplay, but I thought it was interesting where it's like there's a choice where you could either shoot the Navi, which would align yourself with the humans, or you shoot the humans, which would align yourself with the Navi.
Yeah. Another thing that kind of disappointed me with this current Avatar movie we saw, I heard that Vin Diesel was going to be in this, but he did not show up. And they say he's going to show up in the Avatar sequels, but I don't know when he's going to show up. If that is something he means, though.
Who knows? Maybe more so the fire people, you could say.
Because I do want to see what if Vin Diesel is in these movies, what he's gonna do.
Yeah.
But maybe Fast and Furious will keep him busy.
Yeah.
Because they're planning more outside of Fast 10.
Yeah, that franchise needs to. Yeah, that franchise has run its course.
Yeah, you will never see us review a Fast and Furious movie on this channel. Because I have no interest in those movies one bit.
Well, yeah. Well, again, you have to very start in the beginning. It's like you have to be kind of like invest in from the beginning or the get go or something like that. Kind of be like or start somewhere. But yeah, that franchise I know for sure has run its course basically. Like I get 7. I didn't see 7, but the way that it kind of went through because that was a really hyped up film.
Number 7. Because I didn't follow the Fast and the Furious too closely.
Well, I believe that was the one with the last
one with Paul Walker was number 7.
Yep, that was the one right there. And I know 8 kind of was like a big, also hype too. So I know like 7 and 8, you could say almost peakish. And then that's where it stopped. Now I'm like, okay, it's starting to kind of like go back to kind of like you sucked up. You've overstayed your dues basically.
Because Vin Diesel's been like in Marvel as Groot.
Yeah.
But I'm like, if he's gonna be in these Avatar movies, when's he coming around? Because they said he would be in 2, but he didn't show up.
Yeah, no.
So I'm just wondering, when's he gonna show up, if ever? I don't know. But I also heard Edward Norton was almost in this movie, but he decided not to show up because the character was not a Na'vi because he wanted to play a Na'vi.
Oh yeah.
But maybe if Edward Norton negotiated with Cameron a bit, but I know he's very difficult to work with.
Yeah.
That would have been kind of interesting if Norton showed up in the Avatar movies.
Yeah.
Because, his little brief stint with the Hulk was really fun, but he never really returned for those.
Yeah.
I know why. But it's like, if you announce these big name actors and you're going to put them in your movie, like, have them show up at least in something. I don't know. Oh, the last thing I kind of want to say is Avatar 3, James Cameron did turn in his first cut.
Yeah.
And supposedly, it's 9 hours long, the first cut of Avatar 3. But I know for certain that will never get released to the cinemas, a 9-hour cut.
Yeah.
Because who has time for that? And that's like an assembly cut. There's no way assembly cuts get released to cinemas. Because they have to edit it down to something more manageable.
Yep.
So maybe with Avatar 3, we're looking at another 3-hour epic, so to speak.
I can definitely see that.
There's a ton of stuff he's got planned, but we'll see. Because Avatar 3 comes out in 2024, which is next year.
Yep.
3 comes out in 2024, and then 4 in 2026, 5 in 2028. And if 6 and 7 happen, somewhere in the 2030s.
Yeah.
We will never know. But anyway, that is all we have to say on Avatar: The Way of Water. I'd say we had a pretty good time.
Yep.
And here's hoping that Avatar 3 and 4 are just as entertaining as this was.
Yep.
Or at least breathtaking.
Yeah.
But we'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's it for now. And you will probably see us next time with Ant-Man 3.
Yeah, that'll be coming up here shortly.
But we got to figure that one out when we get a chance. But I am intrigued about that because one of the Rick and Morty writers is attached to it.
Yeah.
So will it be just as fun as Rick and Morty is?
Yeah.
That's what's got me excited.
Yeah, that'll be for sure. I remember, at least in terms of me and like some of the people I know, I was probably one of the first people, at least out of the people I've known, to watch Rick and Morty. And now it's just become this whole phenomenon.
Oh, you were one of the first people there when it premiered?
I was probably one of the first few people, like when it first started to, pop up. Maybe not like maybe not. But I was, at least within the first week or first month, I remember, I just kind of like watched, an episode or something like that or so, and I was like, okay, I'm invested.
Yeah, the first episode I saw was the episode where he makes the potion for Morty to get Jessica to fall in love with him, but then her eyes widen and then they turn into those praying mantis things.
Oh, yeah. I think that was like episode 3 or 4 or something like that. I know what you're talking about.
The first time I saw that episode, I was just like laughing at how crazy it was.
Oh my god, that was funny. Yeah, but I just remember when I saw the very first episode, all of a sudden, because again, it made me laugh a little bit too, just because it's like it's like it's like the bed like this sleeping, and all of a sudden just like Morty, okay, get up, Morty, we gotta get going somewhere.
Yeah. But like with Ant-Man 3, because one of the Rick and Morty writers is attached to it, I mean, there's got to be a ton of crazy things that are going to go down in it, and we're going to see Kang the Conqueror finally. Yeah. Because they've been setting him up since Loki, so we're finally going to see him.
Yeah.
And he obviously will be the villain in Avengers 5, and he'll have a big role throughout Phase 5 and 6.
Yeah.
And whoever they got planned as the villain for Avengers Secret Wars, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But, yeah, in the meantime, while the Avatar sequels come out, we're definitely going to have more visual spectacles from Marvel. I hear, actually, that DC is going to announce a new slate of projects this month because apparently James Gunn is their Kevin Feige for some reason.
Well, DC is kind of like doing a clean slate right now.
Oh yeah, when the Flash comes out, it's gonna like wipe the original slate and then pave the way for something new.
Yeah, because they've already got rid of Henry.
Henry Cavill left, which I didn't get too upset about that like other people did. Yeah. I just kind of wish that we had gotten a Superman close to the one I had seen in the animated shows growing up.
Yeah, but unfortunately now they have. It sounds like they're trying to do a clean slate.
Yeah, which is what this new James Gunn Superman produced movie is going to be about. It's going to be like a reboot, but you're not necessarily going to see Krypton explode again. You're not going to see his time in Smallville. You're going to see his time at the Daily Planet.
Yep, so Metropolis again and stuff like that.
Which is what they did with Superman Man of Tomorrow, actually.
Yeah, which, although because you are doing a new Superman and everything else like that again, and Flashpoint's going to change it too, technically you could... Batman is still available then. I mean, again, at least the new Batman, so you could put in Patterson as, from the...
Oh, that's not connected. That's like on a different Earth.
I know. But, well, I mean, again, new slate, though. It's not like, Ben Affleck's again.
Well, he's going to be in The Flash, and then he'll show up in the Aquaman sequel, apparently. Like, I know post-Flash, it's going to be Blue Beetle and Aquaman 2.
All right, so you'll have James Mormon,
Jason Momoa.
Jason Momoa still in the new.
Well, post Aquaman, they're thinking of recasting, Jason Momoa as somebody else, not necessarily keeping him around as Aquaman.
Okay, so they're still gonna clean slate with Aquaman. Okay.
Yeah, but honestly, I kind of want to save this for if we see the Shazam sequel or Flash. That DC should have started their cinematic universe a long time ago.
Yeah. Actually, if you're going to recast Jason Momoa as someone else, I have an idea of a character you could do.
Lobo?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, he should have been Lobo from the start.
Yep.
But Lobo is a character I'd kind of want to introduce later down the line, like not necessarily in the beginning.
I know, but, Jason Momoa could be a really good Lobo.
Yeah, he definitely could. And they've talked about making a Lobo movie for years. That'd be their opportunity right there.
Yeah.
But we'll never know. They just need to announce their clean slate of projects this month. I don't know when that's going to happen. But, yeah, the Shazam sequel was actually going to come out around the same time that Avatar did.
Yeah.
But they pushed it back so Avatar 2 could have more time.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
And then, we'll definitely see the Shazam sequel. And then The Flash, I'm very cautious about. Because I know what it's adapting, and they're probably going to screw it up.
Well, because it's a clean slate, basically, with the Flashpoint.
Yeah. But anyway, we've kind of gone on for a little while about that, but we'll save many of the DC discussions for...
a later date.
Yeah, if we get to Shazam 2 or The Flash. But anyway, that is Avatar: The Way of Water video, and we expect good things to come out of these sequels, big things, so everybody have a pleasant day. And hope you're having a good new year.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.